But leadership, always critical. Ultimately, Jane, has that been a factor here?
Absolutely, Tom. Let's look at this leadership question in a historical context, thinking in particular about the big landslides. Of course, Theresa May wanted a landslide. Doesn't look like she's going to get that, very far from it. So we're going to look at leader satisfaction ratings for the Prime Minister and the opposition leader from 1977. And we're just going to scroll forward to 1983. That was the Thatcher landslide election. Thatcher won a majority of 144. The next big landslide election was, of course, Tony Blair's landslide election, winning 179 majority. Now, at the beginning of this campaign, after the EU referendum, Theresa May's leadership ratings, and of course, what's absolutely critical there is the gap between the leader, the Prime Minister, and the leader of the opposition.
Yeah.
Her leader ratings were really high. They were much better than Jeremy Corbyn's. But let's just look at the change between when the election was called and the most recent data point, which was in the last few days of the campaign. And you can see Theresa May's leadership ratings plummeting. And there you can see in plain daylight just how good this campaign was for Jeremy Corbyn.
It's astonishing, really, isn't it? Just, I say it's astonishing because we generally talk about campaigns not changing much, but boy, was this the exception. What was it? Was it not turning up to the TV debates? I mean, what do you think, if you had to pick anything out, just looking at it?
So if I had to pick two things out, I would say, on the one hand, it was the manifesto launches, because we saw, you know, certainly we saw Lib Dem voters going over to Labour. We saw, you know, these huge concerns over social care, and I think, you know, making Theresa May look a bit wobbly and not as decisive and not as consistent.
Yeah.
So I think that was absolutely fundamental. And I also wonder, I do wonder if the tragic times that we have, lived through in this campaign with the terrorist attacks put the focus onto police numbers and to cuts and austerity, and that helped Jeremy Corbyn. And I think, Jeremy Corbyn had a very good campaign, that sincerity, the authenticity, and also this age in which we seem to be living of anti-establishment politics and almost a kind of populist feel.
We talked about it in Brexit, and we talked about it on the night of Trump, and I don't know why we came into the studio tonight thinking that something exceptional wasn't going to happen, because every time we come into an overnight studio we end up with something totally different, don't we, really?
Exactly.
And of course a lot of it plays out online, where it is being much discussed tonight, as you would expect. Let's go over to Nina.